10 home features that have disappeared over time. If you grew up in a home built before the 80s, you probably remember some unexpected home features that don't exist anymore. Maybe there was a milk door for the daily delivery, a little phone nook for the family landline, or even a boot scraper by the front steps. These once common details have slowly disappeared from modern homes, leaving behind memories. Come along with us as we look at some of the home features that have faded over time. And trust us, you're not ready for the last one. It will truly surprise you. But for now, we begin with the most infamous one, metal plates. Metal plates, also known as anchor plates or wall anchors, were once common in brick or stone homes. These iron or steel plates, circular or star-shaped, weren't just for decoration, but they served a vital purpose. As houses and structures grew older in the early 1800s, structural problems arose. Anchor plates were created to support the walls of buildings and keep them from collapsing or bowing out. They attached to lengthy metal rods that ran across the width of the structure, giving it additional solidity and support. The method was particularly common in places where there were frequent strong storms or unstable basements. You can still see that in many older homes in New York or Philadelphia. Those who grew up with metal plates in their homes knew this old-world craftsmanship when people relied on simple methods to keep their homes standing strong. Moving on, let's see how iron doors fit into home design. Iron doors lead to the basement in homes that were built from the late 19th century to the mid-20th century. They were introduced during a time when homes were designed with durability and security in mind. These strong doors were made from heavy iron and frequently had complex designs. Homes with vast basements or those situated in high crime regions were especially fond of these doors. They had a purpose and conveyed status with their striking presence. The iron doors were also useful to keep moisture out of the basement, which was a typical problem in older homes. Children who grew up in these homes might remember the creak of the heavy door as they explored the basement, or the reassuring feeling of a safe, well-guarded space. Up next, let's explore another classic home feature, root cellar. A root cellar dates back to the early 19th century and was designed for storing fragile food items. It was an underground room or space, usually built into a hillside or basement, where the cool, consistent temperature and humidity helped preserve food items over long periods. The design typically included thick, insulating walls and proper ventilation to maintain ideal conditions. Before modern refrigeration, root cellars were a vital part of home life, especially in rural areas where fresh fruits or vegetables were seasonal, and preserving them was crucial for the winter months. Though not as common today, root cellars are fondly remembered by those who had them. Many recall the satisfaction of going to the root cellar on a cold winter's day to get a jar of homemade pickles or freshly stored apples. Now a question for you. If you could only store one food item in your root cellar forever, what would it be? Let's see those tasty choices. Drop your comments down below. Now here's another home element that's no longer common: servant staircase. The servant staircase, also known as a back staircase, used to be in large homes from the late 19th century through the mid-20th century. The staircase was first used in the Victorian era when household workers were told to use it quietly and keep their movements separate from the main living rooms of the family. It was usually found at the back of the house and gave access to functional rooms like the laundry and kitchen. Despite their practical purpose, these staircases have a touch of old-world charm. Those who lived with them remember the hustle of carrying food trays upstairs and downstairs, as well as the occasional run-ins with the house cat, who thought the narrow staircase was equally entertaining. Speaking of unique features, do you remember the charming telephone nooks we used to have? Telephone nooks. These small, specialized areas, which were first seen in the 1950s and 1960s, were made especially to hold a home phone. It frequently included a built-in shelf for a phone book and a little drawer for writing tools. The nook was usually equipped with a small desk or comfy seat and had an alcove-like design that made it a convenient place to receive and make calls. These nooks were especially popular in older homes because of the practicality they provided for daily living. Residents loved these places. Those who grew up with them appreciate the pleasant recollections of family discussions and the excitement of getting a call. This was where people gathered to exchange news. The next one will make you go, "What? Do they have a separate door for that?" Yes, you got it right. The famous milk door. Milk door. The milk door was a common feature in homes from the early 1900s to the 1960s. It was a small, often circular door located on the exterior of a house, usually near the kitchen, used for delivering fresh milk directly to households. Now a logical question you all must have in your mind. Why can't they take these milk bottles from the main door? Because it was convenient for busy families, as the milkmen deposited bottles without entering the home. What do you think? Does it make sense? Would you want it in your home today? And why? Tell us in the comments below. These doors were typically made of metal or wood and had a hinged flap that opened inward. They were a staple in the daily routine of many households. With the rise of supermarkets and refrigeration, the milk door has disappeared with time. However, families who've experienced it recalled the excitement of finding a new bottle of milk each morning, and children often look forward to the sound of the milkman's cart. Another feature you won't find in modern homes is boot scrapers. Boot scrapers. Boot scrapers were first widely used outside of houses in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, particularly in rural areas. These were stone or metal fixtures placed close to doorways. Their main purpose was to help people clean the mud and dirt off their boots before entering the house, ensuring that the inside remained clean. With a few swipes, boot scrapers' rigid, comb-like structure or brushes could remove dirt and debris. That feature was especially significant before the arrival of today's carpets and flooring. Even if they weren't particularly well known in the sense of having an iconic design, a lot of people still appreciate their dependable, strong presence and the way they helped keep homes cleaner. Yeah, those were simpler days when such useful things were essential to day-to-day living. Did you know that in some cultures, boot scrapers were designed with symbolic meaning? Such as in France, some boot scrapers featured designs of lions or dragons, which were thought to bring good fortune and protect the home from evil spirits. You thought the last one was crazy enough. Check this out, the dumbwaiters. Dumbwaiters. The dumbwaiter is a tiny elevator for carrying food and small items between floors, which made its debut in the 19th century. Not to be confused with its name, it wasn't for helping out clueless people, but was used to carry heavy dishes up and down stairs. It used to be installed in homes with multiple levels. These little lift systems were a real hit with busy households and restaurants. Imagine needing to get a hot pot of stew from the kitchen on the first floor to the dining room on the second. It makes sense now. People loved the dumbwaiter's comfort of use and the ability to send food or clothes up and down without spending a lot of energy. It always makes us smile to think back to the days when Grandma used to smuggle extra cookies to the youngsters above. Next up, we have the slit in the medicinal cabinet. Razor blade bank slot. The slit in medicine cabinets was a clever feature found in homes from the 1950s to the 1970s. This small, discreet slot was built into the medicine cabinet's door, designed specifically for disposing of used razor blades. Many individuals used double-edged blades, which required frequent blade changes before the arrival of contemporary safety razors and disposable blades. Old blades could be easily stored without running the risk of an accident, thanks to the razor slit. It became fairly popular because it made it easier to keep used blades out of the trash and out of the hands of vulnerable people. The razor slit is fondly remembered by many who grew up with these cabinets as a wonderful idea that added a little organization to life. It may sound odd now, but it was an essential part of everyday grooming back then. It's time for the grand reveal. The most unbelievable and unforgettable feature that disappeared over time was random toilet in the basement. In many homes from the mid-20th century, there was a random toilet in the basement. This unusual addition was often built during the 1960s and 1970s, when homeowners sought to maximize every inch of space. The idea was simple. Why not add a second bathroom where it was least expected? Basement toilets were often installed without much thought, sometimes even in awkward, out-of-the-way spots. For large families, they provided a useful area where the kids could run off or where guests might use it without having to go upstairs. These toilets were functional, but occasionally, with their unfinished edges or close to the laundry machines, they seemed a little silly. Though they never gained fame, they were a must in many homes, leaving behind fond, if slightly bemused memories. As we wrap up this nostalgic trip down memory lane, it's clear that home features from the past had a charm all their own. If you're feeling a few tears about these forgotten home features, you're not alone. Drop a comment below sharing which feature you miss the most and want back in your home. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more such trips to the past. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more memories that'll make you smile, or maybe cry.